Right now, a WISN 12 State of Addiction special.
People are dying every day.
Wisconsin families torn apart by opioid abuse.
I hated life. I hated everything about it, but I couldn't stop.
He was an 80-pound heroin addict, and there's nothing left.
Tonight, an in-depth look at who is hurting.
If you would have asked me how I thought he was going to turn out, this is not the path I would have thought he would have taken.
And who is helping.
Hit it with the Narcan.
From pain pills to heroin, virtually no one is immune.
My brother's a recovering heroin addict. When I say recovering, he's sitting in the jail right now, my jail.
Plus, a fascinating look at local groundbreaking research on how opioids affect the brain.
This is your brain on drugs.
That's right.
Right now, live from the WISN 12 studios, here's Kathy Michaelby.
Good evening. Addiction. It means you're hooked. You have to have it. It means you're a prisoner of a craving that might very well kill you. In Wisconsin, skyrocketing opioid and heroin use has countless people in a state of addiction. Tonight, we're dedicating an entire hour, commercial-free, to this topic. We're also live on Facebook right now. 12 News' Adrian Pedersen is with two doctors standing by, waiting to take questions from you about opioid addiction, things to watch out for, how to get help. We will check in with them in just a moment. Now that we are going to talk about those experts, we just want to let you know that they're going to be ready to take your questions right now. In fact, as they nod yes, give them a call. Tonight, we start with the opioid crisis and the tight grasp it has on our community. There was a time when heroin addiction seemed confined to back rooms, dark alleys, perhaps under a bridge, almost always in major urban centers, and most of us did not even know the term opioid. That has changed. Today, a person is more likely to die of a heroin or opioid overdose than die of cancer, die in a car crash, or die by gunfire. And an addict might be someone in your circle of friends or in your own family. Users can be parents. A boy calls 911 after his father overdoses on heroin. Like this Waukesha County father accused of getting high and passing out with his kids in the car.
My dad's dead. He's not waking up for anything.
They can be the person next door.
This Washington County mother is accused of running a drug ring out of her kitchen.
Or they can be living in your own home.
A Greenfield father is now facing charges for shooting his son over heroin use.
A father who says he was driven to the brink.
I caught him shooting up, and I lost it. I just had enough, and I did something stupid.
An example of the tremendous stress the cycle of abuse puts on relationships. The link between painkillers and heroin is strong. State health records suggest 3 out of 4 heroin abusers started by using legally prescribed opioids. Commonly prescribed opioid pills for pain are oxycodone, hydrocodone, codeine, and fentanyl. There are many brand names. Substance abuse is a problem with roots in the brain's chemistry. Dr. Matthew Hearing, a scientist at Marquette University, is leading a groundbreaking study right now.
We're using electrical signals and transfers of electrical information to be able to tell us how things have changed.
His lab is researching how opioids affect the brain, how they actually take over the way you think and steal your ability to make a good decision.
What we're starting to find out is that changes in those directions are ultimately driving the people to seek out and use drugs.
70% of drug deaths in Wisconsin involve opioids. Opioid addiction is such a big problem in Wisconsin, the state is commissioning a task force, recruiting the best and brightest to fight it. And we found some everyday warriors. Toya Washington introduces us to a family trying to save lives after the odyssey of trying to rescue their own son.
So we were we thought, the normal, perfect family.
A father and son team, Rick and Tyler Liebert, work side by side for the family landscaping business. Ashley, Tyler's big sister.
We are complete opposites.
Yes.
Mom, Sandy, the family's glue.
Rick and I would go to all of their events, be part of it.
Family vacations at the lake, celebrating milestones. By all accounts, a typical family.
We laugh the entire time.
Well, not the entire time.
But addiction was tearing this normal, perfect family apart.
I'd wake up like, what did I did it again. I can't believe I did this again. And after I would crash a car, or after I would do this, and every morning it was just, why can't I stop?
Confessions of a heroin addict.
I have a 200-page journal that says, you know, all hate letters to myself saying I need to stop. It went on for 8 years. I didn't want to do it anymore, but I had to. It's like having this dark passenger in the back of your head. And it's fine until he wants to take over and start driving. And once he starts driving, you can't get away from it. You can't stop yourself from doing it.
He started out like a lot of little boys, busy playing baseball, basketball, and football with a supportive family intact.
I was a hyperactive kid. You know, it was really hard to keep me in check. Even first, second, third grade, I was always bouncing off the walls and stuff like that.
But his curiosity got out of control.
6th grade, I started drinking. 7th grade, I started smoking pot. 15 years old, I was doing pills. And 16, 17, I was doing heroin.
A student in the Lake Country area, run-ins with police came early, too.
I got arrested a ton. And my first underage drinking ticket, I was 12. And it just racked up after that. I think I got 17 or 19 underage drinking tickets.
I wouldn't tell Rick that I went and picked him up from the station again. I wouldn't tell Rick that he was truant again from school. I didn't tell you that I was in front of a judge because Tyler was truant 5 times, and they asked me if I was a good mom.
It got to a point that when we knew he really had a problem was when he got an underage drinking ticket on Friday night. In the park. He turned around on Saturday and got another one in the park, right across from a police station.
When I look back, I think that I took so much on personally that I added to the many years of his drug use.
At first, I want to change, I want to stop, I kind of know what I'm doing is wrong, I'm still your brother, I still care about you, and then he switched to like, I don't care what you say. Yeah. I don't care if I take from you. I don't care if I steal your TV. I don't care what I do to you. I just want my drugs.
Every morning I would be like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. But then by noon, that voice in the back of the head would start creeping up, and I couldn't stop myself from doing it.
Then, at 18 years old, another life-altering event for Tyler.
During Tyler's use, he was dating a girl. She was pregnant. At 40 years old, we buried our first grandson because of this.
Tyler's girlfriend was also an addict.
And we saw Tyler carrying the casket down at the church. And I remember standing at the gravesite, and we thought Tyler was going to be next. And we thought that was going to be his changing point. We thought that was going to be when he would stop. And actually, it escalated more.
What do you do when everything is lost?
He was an 80-pound heroin addict. And I remember looking at him, and there was nothing left.
I literally had given up. There was no reason for me to stick around.
We'd offered treatment before, we'd done all that, but I would never let him go. Because I thought if I let him go, he would die. He was already dead inside.
My family was like, all right, we're done. Get out of here. We're done. We can't do this anymore. And I had nothing left to live for. And I was on the brink of taking my own life when Mom gave me the option to get help or never be a part of this family again. And that was one of the big turning points.
And you said you were in a drug house in Milwaukee when you got this phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had sunk to the point where I couldn't breathe anymore. And I didn't know how to escape.
Why did you call that day?
I don't know.
I can remember that day, and I wasn't going to answer Mom's phone call.
I remember saying, Tyler, you have 2 options. You can go, and I'm going to let you go. And you can do what you're doing. But we will no longer go down that path because we can't continue. We can't do this anymore.
And I was out of any kind of money. I had been wearing the same clothes for a week. I didn't have food. I barely had a place to sleep. I was jumping from house to house to house.
And I remember saying to him, I'm going to offer you something else. I'm going to offer you treatment, and we will support you 100%. And I remember sitting there going, oh, please, God, let him decide treatment, because I was scared to let him go. I was so scared.
It It's terrifying.
How long did it take you to call me back, Tyler?
How long?
I think, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And he called back and he goes, okay. And I just remember looking up and just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we've got a long road ahead of us, but thank you for giving us the start.
And that 2 minutes in between when I got the phone call and before I decided, I said the same thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have another option.
It would take a 6th time in treatment, the final attempt at an intense inpatient program, and it worked. Clean now for 8 years, Tyler shares what still haunts him.
There's 4 of us that used to use all the time together, non-stop, and all 4 of us made it out successfully. But, 35 of them died.
I'm sorry.
35. I've been to 35 funerals of people that I've known that have used and died.
And another confession.
And some of the kids that, I'm like, hey, you should try this, are dead because of me saying that.
How do you rectify that guilt?
I don't. I never will. That's something that will live with me for the rest of my life. All I can do is try and prevent the next generation of doing it.
That has been the Leibert's mission now for 8 years.
Dad and I fought like it was World War II. Ashley wanted nothing to do with me, and Mom cried every day because of what I was doing.
Opening up to civic groups, law enforcement officers, but their focus is aimed at schools.
That's the point we're trying to get across to you. You laugh about it, really? It's funny?
Which can be, at times, frustrating.
We know that we're not going to reach every kid. That's, we accepted that right away. But the ones we do reach mean something.
Opening up the wounds of the past to prevent others from going through what the Leiberts went through. It's not an easy mission.
Well, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off every time we talk, like you see us and we're like normal, happy family now, and then we sit down to talk, we have to go back to that horrible place.
Now with ripping that Band-Aid off, I guess then why did you decide to make your story public and make this your mission?
How can we not? Yeah. How can we not do it?
I think more to the point of your question, why keep ripping off that Band-Aid? Because if our pain helps someone else stay away from their own pain, it's worth it.
So from the depths of despair, the Leiberts formed an organization called Your Choice to Live, a nonprofit that runs off donations, private grants, and some of their own money.
And they're helping a lot of people.
Yeah, and they're actually expanding. They've hit some 150 schools in our area, which means they've reached more than 125,000 students.
And Toya, you walked away from this with new perspective.
I most certainly did. The thing that really clicked for me is that Tyler was 11 years old the first time he tried alcohol. My oldest is now 10, so this all really hit home. For those with kids in elementary school, now really is the time to talk about your expectations for them.
And over again.
And again and again. And of course, our thanks to Leiberts for their honesty.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, and again, we have doctors taking your questions right now on Facebook Live. Our Adrienne Pedersen is with them now moderating the live chat. Go there now, ask them any question you would like to get an answer to. We'll check in with her about some of those most critical questions in just a few moments. Now, a moment ago, we heard a story of addiction from the heart of Lake Country. Now we turn to the heart of Milwaukee's Central City. Melinda Davenport speaks to more people devoted to making a difference.
I was caught off guard that it was so big here in the south side of Milwaukee.
You had no idea?
I had no idea.
Raymond Rivera is a community activist on the city's south side. He's talking about opioid addiction here in Milwaukee's Latino community.
No one ever plans to be a heroin addict, okay? We had these plans, I just drink a little bit or I just smoke a little bit, but I will never get to this.
He says it's a growing problem that no one seems to even know about.
She says, Raymond, do you know that right here in the south side, there's a big heroin epidemic? And I'm like, really? Well, I knew there was some going on.
So Raymond brought people together so it can be talked about. At the United Community Center, he invited parents, middle schoolers, educators, and other activists to do just that.
It's real big, but it's hush-hush on the south side of Milwaukee with the Latinos.
Milwaukee's medical examiner's data from 2012 to 2015 shows that while most deaths are among whites and blacks in Milwaukee, 7% of overdose victims were Latino. So you can see on this map of Milwaukee County that almost no community is untouched by the epidemic. But there are shaded areas that are darker purple on this map that shows a high density zone of overdose deaths right here on Milwaukee's south side. It's almost like a bullseye. The numbers are fueling Rivera's mission in the Walker Square neighborhood in particular.
Our babies, our young kids are falling prey to the lies of these drug dealers and making it sound so good.
Pills and potions, we're overdosing.
They're in the songs, it's in social media, they're making it so it's okay, and it's not. People are dying every day.
I'm in the club, high up perk, with some shades on. Tatted up, mini skirt, with my J's on.
If you listen to popular music, it's all in there. Miley Cyrus singing about lean, opioid-laced drinks glamorized by performers like Future and Justin Bieber. It's a combination of prescription cough syrup, which has the opiate codeine, which promises a drinkable euphoria.
1, 2, 12, keep my eyes cool. 3 or 4 zips, have me leaning like a fool.
Pressure on young people also comes in the form of gang life. And it's not just scissor that gets people hooked. One of those folks is 22-year-old Brian Martinez, who came from Colombia as a child. He's a recovering addict that says not everyone fits the stereotype that gets hooked to opioids. He hit rock bottom before he decided to change his life.
I was 119 pounds. You know, when I weighed myself and I seen that, I was like, hey, I gotta change because I'm gonna die.
He wanted to share his story at the summit, and because more and more people in the community know someone who was affected, says there's still hope.
I got caught with a lot of drugs. You know, I was facing a lot of charges. So when I got out of jail, I reached out to my mom and told her like, hey, I need to change. She didn't believe me at first because she's heard it so many times out of my mouth. You know, and she's like, I'm sorry, but I can't believe you, you know? Until I started like really telling her like, hey, and I was telling myself, I need to change.
Raymond urges the Latino community to give people struggling with addiction the chance to change, even though there's a long-lasting stigma.
These are mothers, these are daughters, these are fathers, cousins, uncles. And sometimes I think we forget that. Oh, heroin addict. Oh my gosh, stay away from them. They've made some bad choices and decisions, but we still need to give a little bit of compassion.
The proportion of drug deaths with heroin has dramatically increased from 5% a decade ago to 33% in 2014, which is why activists say recovering addicts need compassion to get clean and time to heal from their choices. Kathy?
Another dose of honesty tonight. Brian Martinez says he hopes his story will inspire others struggling with addiction. Now, we're keeping these two doctors very busy tonight. Adrian, we have been talking about various things that people have been asking over Facebook Live. Pretty fascinating. People have myths. We're trying to educate people tonight. I think that's what we have to do.
That's right. This is an opportunity for you to ask these doctors, medical professionals, questions. So with us tonight, we have Dr. Westlake, an ER doctor, and Dr. McNett, who's in pain management, two people who see this opioid problem firsthand. These questions really coming in by the minute here. And one that came up several times that I want to ask you is people said, why are you bringing this up now? Hasn't this been a problem for a while? And I know, Dr. Westlake, you spoke specifically to this.
Right, and I think that the problem with it now is that people are dying from it so quickly. And that it's, you know, it's a crisis. It's also a crisis, I think, that's been fueled by prescriptions from physicians. And so I think that's something that we can control is the prescriptive practices of people.
Yeah, I would say, you know, the problem has been around for a while, but it keeps getting worse and worse. And it has wakened kind of the sleeping giant in the legislature and the medical community to recognize, okay, this isn't going to go away. We have to do something about this. And we're trying our best to catch up to the problem, but it's a challenge because the problem is getting worse so fast that and it's not just what we can do. We also need the community to understand that they can make a big difference in this. And so shows like this really help people empower themselves to understand how to help their friends, their neighbors, their loved ones as they start to show the first signs of this problem before it gets too bad.
Something important to touch on, a few people have already been asking tonight, and I'm sitting here at my laptop until at least 10 asking the doctors your questions. So another one is about carfentanil, and fentanyl, something we've discussed here several times on Channel 12, and I know you gave me some stats about just how powerful carfentanil and opioid really is.
Sure, so fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than heroin is. And carfentanil is 100 times more powerful than fentanyl. So carfentanil is 10,000 times more powerful than heroin. So you can literally overdose from breathing it in, from breathing 4 or 5 grains of carfentanil in. So it's just such a huge, they use it to tranquilize killer whales. I mean, it's just and so if it's cut wrong, then people die.
And you mentioned even police dogs sniffing this.
Police dogs sniffing it, or if an investigator wants to tell if it's something, they touch it and look at it, that's enough to kill them.
Another question here is, how do you hide it? Because we just saw a story with a family member who was hiding it at the beginning. And other people maybe who don't have experience would think it'd be impossible to hide it. So how do you hide this from family members and loved ones?
Well, I think part of it is it's such a gradual progression. It's not like one day you're not doing anything and the next day you're a full-blown, bottom, heroin addict. It's such a gradual slide that people don't notice it over time. That they start with pills, do a little more pills, pretty soon they need the pills all the time. They can hide that, and so the families get used to seeing that person. But it's not like a snapshot once and then 4 months later. It's a gradual. So it's not. From my experience, people are very well able to hide it. It's not a hard thing to hide.
Well, and I think also when you have a loved one that's having this happen, you don't want something bad to be going on with them. Right. It's like, I don't want to believe that my son is becoming a heroin addict, and so you tend to look on the good side, and sometimes it's easy to overlook the early signs, because it's a horrible thing to have to face. Who would want to have to face that?
And thank you, doctors. We appreciate you answering these questions, and we will continue doing this throughout the show as well as here on Facebook Live, so be sure to tune in there. Kathy, back to you.
All right, I'm going to stress again that the doctors are going to be here throughout our program. Go there, ask them anything about opioids, treatment, warning signs, anything you would like. Just go to WISN 12 News on Facebook. And still ahead tonight, when a cop finds his own family is not immune to heroin addiction. We take you to the front lines.
Deep breath. Deep breath.
The opioid antidote.
We just hit out Narcan. Yes, he went out on us.
How it's a game changer for local emergency responders. Plus, local scientists and groundbreaking research. See what happens in the lab and how their work could change the way you view addiction. Welcome back. Just a reminder, we are on Facebook Live right now with experts taking your questions about opioid addiction and recovery. You can go to our WISN 12 News Facebook page while you are watching us and the show.
Okay, you're doing fine right now.
We see the aftermath of addiction on the news virtually every day. Tonight, we're going to take a moment to focus on our brave emergency responders, like the ones you see here, saving a man during an overdose. Andy Choi shares how the opioid antidote Narcan is a game changer on the street.
First responders say the scene you're witnessing here is all too common.
No, you took something, right? You ran into a house. Okay, we gave you some Narcan, we brought you back. Okay, you're doing fine right now. All right, relax.
Overdose patients on the brink of death brought back to life with naloxone or Narcan, a drug that instantly reverses the effects of opioids. Our 12 News camera was there as firefighters saved this overdose patient's life after he crashed into a house. There were mere seconds to spare.
It's a great medication. It's important that I think it's given people like this maybe
a false sense of security.
North Shore Fire Lieutenant Dan Tyke says Narcan has changed the way users think about overdosing.
They don't realize how close they were. We've gone on calls for the same person 3 times in a day.
If it is their second or third chance, maybe this will be the time that they straighten out their lives.
How often are they taking that advice?
Not as often as we'd like.
These are the personal conflicts that come with the job, as paramedics like Scott Mickelson struggle with the idea that this life-saving drug may further encourage users to keep living on the edge.
Jessica, turn the car off.
In Greenfield, officers tried to stop a woman from starting a high-speed chase. It ended with the officers bringing the overdosing driver back to life.
Hit it with the Narcan.
I believe that we have an opioid crisis around the country, not just our community.
A big reason why West Dallas Fire Captain David Vandermeer is on the forefront of Narcan training, not just for emergency personnel, but for the public.
We've embraced prevention and public education.
Here we go.
Anybody can do this. Anybody can give Narcan.
And while Narcan is an essential tool for professionals, it's becoming more and more accessible for ordinary people. And Scott's going to show us how it's done.
All right, so I want you to take the syringe with the nozzle on it. I want you to put it in one of his nostrils.
Okay.
I want you to occlude the other nostril. I want you to administer the dose we talked about.
And once you put the dose in, you're waiting just a few minutes to see if the patient is showing any signs of life.
We're hearing reports of people that when they're doing the seizing of these medications on the street, they have to carry Narcan on them to protect themselves.
Safe to say this has saved your daughter's life multiple times.
Joni Lucky's daughter has overdosed a dozen times, and as her own family struggle continues, Joni's working to offer Narcan training here at the West Dallas Survival Live House.
We encourage everyone to have this with them. My hope is that bills will pass where it's available to all schools, that schools can administer it.
You're okay. You're okay.
It is all that's going to get them breathing again or keep them breathing, but it needs to be coupled with the treatment for the disease. And Narcan is a short-term, immediate solution to correct an immediate problem, but we need to take a step back and look, and there's a much bigger problem.
Take a deep breath.
You know, it's about saving lives.
And as first responders regard Narcan as the miraculous short-term remedy,
I don't care what got the person in that situation. My job is to help that person out in their time of need.
they hope the real miracle of recovery remains within reach for every patient they serve. Andy Choi, WISN 12 News.
Addiction awareness, major informational campaigns date back to the 80s. Remember this?
Okay, last time. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
30 years later, we're still trying to find out how the brain on drugs functions. There is some key research happening right now at Marquette University. Research going on right now at Marquette University
I don't want to drag you out of the car and make a big scene out of this.
just might change how you view the state of addiction and what you are seeing during this dramatic encounter.
Don't make a poor decision, okay?
The driver bolts despite the consequences. The goal in this MU lab is to zero in on how opioids alter the pathways of our brains that guide our behavior.
That's what we're really interested in focusing on, is what parts of the brain, like your prefrontal cortex, for example, that's important for making those decisions, is altered, and how is it altered, and how is that ultimately leading to people making poor decisions? So deciding to use drugs even though there are going to be adverse consequences like going to jail or losing families, things like that, and how changes lead to those behaviors.
This is your brain on drugs.
That's right, right. We use a technique called electrophysiology.
Pinpointing those changes is done under the microscope with brains that mimic our own makeup.
They're the most important members of the lab by far, and that's why we treat them as such.
Lab mice are key. This one is a control to be compared with others that are exposed and actually self-administer the opioid remifentanil.
It shows that they're actually motivated to seek out and use the drug because it's rewarding.
The aim is to find a way to wake up, to reverse the damage done to the decision-making of those in the throes of addiction.
We just hit her with Narcan. She went out on us.
I think it would be ignorant to think we're going to develop a magic pill that's going to cure everyone instantly of addiction. I mean, because once you're an addict for life. But our goal is to try to find a way to get people to be able to regulate their behavior more appropriately.
Rebuilding the brain's ability to decide, to relapse less, to use less, perhaps build a better Narcan, or another completely different therapy. So the coolest thing you can imagine that you might be able to figure out in here would be what?
If we could use photostimulation, so using light-activated channels in your brain to reverse changes and prevent an individual from relapsing, for example.
A scientific way of thwarting the state of addiction by seeing the light. No room for stigma here. Dr. Heering views the addict as the person who has a disorder of the brain. While they made the decision to use drugs, there are many factors that play into whether someone actually becomes addicted. Doctors are taking your questions right now on Facebook Live. Adrian Pedersen is with them. Adrian, how's the response?
Kathy, we're really getting a lot of questions now. We started doing this at 9, and now the questions just continually keep to pour in. We're getting some really good ones, including one from Heidi, who said, why can't you just quit? We talked about that here just a few minutes ago. Christy was asking specifically about Narcan. You just heard about that in a story, saying, isn't giving people Narcan just telling them, don't worry, here's another chance to overdose? So we're answering those kinds of questions here on Facebook Live and throughout this broadcast. And something else I want to bring up that's really interesting and really neat that's happening on our Facebook page right now is former addicts with current addicts are going back and forth and talking to each other about how they recovered. So it's also becoming a really powerful resource right now on Facebook Live. So I'll be with you again in just a few minutes, Kathy.
All right, an important conversation. Thanks, Adrian. We'll check in with you in just a few moments. So you can go there to Facebook page, WISN 12 News. We'll be answering those questions with those doctors, your questions right there on Facebook Live. Now, to the police. The opioid epidemic means looking at addiction in a new way. Tonight, Patrick Palantonio introduces us to a cop who is at a crossroads of his personal and professional life.
Let me tell you about myself first so you know why I'm up here.
On stage with kids and parents looking on,
I do take this seriously.
Chris Cole is candid.
Methamphetamine's making a comeback.
The knowledge,
drugs are always there. They change in popularity.
And experience he shares.
I'm a past president of the Wisconsin Narcotics Officers Association.
Come from years in federal and local drug enforcement.
I've been a cop for 20 years, 12 and a half of that in narcotics.
He's no longer in narcotics, but he's still discussing drugs. On this night, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Detective is over the border in Milwaukee County at Franklin High School.
No one grows up saying, I want to be a junkie. Or I'm going to stick a needle in my arm. They start off with alcohol, and then they try a little bit of weed and a little bit of cocaine, maybe some ecstasy. They work their way up to the big one.
He talks about that progression during a drug prevention event called Stairway to Heroin. From trends to warning signs.
If you can't find a spoon in your house, you may have a problem, because you use spoons to cook it.
The conversation is real, but this is only the start.
I can't teach you this in 20 minutes. You have to go out and learn more about drugs and alcohol than your kids do. Just Google it. It's all there. Talk to them, talk to them, talk to them.
He'll give a dozen or so talks like this each year to educate, something he's had to do in his own family.
In addition, on a personal level, my brother's a recovering drug addict. Recovering heroin addict. When I say recovering, it's because he sits in the county jail in Waukesha, where I work. That's real hard. It's because cops fix things. We solve problems. We're problem solvers.
We sat down, and he opened up even more.
I have the same problem with the lies and the deceit and the manipulation. Trying to explain it to my elderly parents. Why this is the way this happened. Why is it like this? They don't understand. My other brother doesn't understand. Why can't he just stop? He can't just stop. The drug's taking over. He needs help all the time. He'll be an addict forever.
In his talks, he tries to reach others before it starts.
When I was in high school, some kids drank a little alcohol, a handful smoked weed. No one was shooting heroin. It just didn't happen. So you can only parent on what you know, so you have to go there and educate yourself.
He wants parents to educate themselves, get involved, stay involved, and educate their children.
They spend more time with their parents than they do with the teachers. You know, parents are the ones, you hate to say like you turn out like your mom and dad, but you turn out like your mom and dad. So they got to learn the message from them.
Well, as you do these talks, what are you seeing? What are you finding from parents? Are they?
They're real. I wouldn't say naive, but they don't understand that the problem reaches out to the suburbs. It doesn't make a difference if you live in Milwaukee or if you live in Heartland or if you live in Walworth County. The drugs are out there. The influencers are out there. The same internet is out there. Our kids are learning the same things.
He's a father himself, trying to encourage other parents to stay ahead of the curve.
Having a relative and someone close to you involved, does that change the way that you look at this professionally?
It makes me feel for the victims a little more. 10 years ago, my attitude was lock them up. And I really learned, and Your Choice people, Sandy Liebert specifically, kind of taught me that, hey, this is real stuff, and it's not just lock them up, these are people. So I'm much more, I think, empathetic or sympathetic to parents, to siblings, family members of addicts. I know what they're going through personally, can try to give them some advice, how to help. I think it makes my public speaking much more real, because I'm not just some cop talking. I mean, I'm in the game like everyone else.
You can see why this is also personal for him, Kathy. Detective Cole tells me his brother will be released from the Waukesha County Jail next month and will go straight into treatment.
Well, hopefully the treatment works. You did reach out to his brother.
I did. I sent him a letter, but have not heard from him directly. Detective Cole tells me that his brother is in stages of recovery and is not ready to talk about it right now. It must be a difficult situation to be in, being in law enforcement while you're also trying to be there to support a loved one, a family member.
But the cop is out there talking about it, trying to help. Absolutely. We want to check in now with our Facebook Live conversation. It's quite lively. Adrienne Pedersen here with our two doctors. Any questions standing out right now?
Here's one big one, and people are phrasing this in different ways, but it's one we're getting a lot that I want to talk to the doctors about here. So Christy wrote, doesn't giving someone Narcan just kind of say, don't worry, here's another chance to overdose? And Dr. Westlake, we were talking about this on Facebook Live, and you made a really good point.
Yeah, so for me, it's about keeping someone alive until they can get treatment. So the people that use Narcan aren't people that are using heroin because there's Narcan around. People are going to be using heroin regardless. They're going to be using opioids regardless. So if you can keep them around and get them treatment, and the Narcan keeps them alive until they can get into treatment and go into recovery, then that's what you've done. And so I really, and if you look at the studies that look at the states that have high usage levels of Narcan, that you haven't seen a corresponding spike in heroin usage. So it doesn't really encourage it. Initially, it's what I thought possibly would happen, and reviewing the literature and looking, it doesn't.
What about a 12-step program? People are asking about that now, too.
12-step programs are great. I think they're wonderful. I think Bill Wilson, the founder of them, is, in my eyes, a Latter-day Saint. The problem is that 12-step programs by themselves are only a third as effective as treatments that use medications to assist sobriety. So doing the 12-step program during the medication-assisted treatment is great. It helps a person build a support network and gives them good tools for dealing with being sober and having to have all those feelings there. And ultimately, the goal is to get them off those medicines so that the 12-step program can continue them in their life on its own. But you triple the chance a person will stay in recovery by using the medicines as well.
All right. Well, thank you, doctors. We're staying right here on Facebook Live, but for now, we'll send it back to you, Kathy.
All right. Thanks, Adrienne. The experts will be on Facebook Live throughout the hour. Go there now and ask them anything. All you have to do is go to WISN 12 News on Facebook. Ahead, deadly decisions. You'll see how trying to get through to high schoolers can be rough.
Well, for me, I never have to use it. However, I'm glad that I have it, I think.
A Shorewood mother's desperate plan to keep her son alive. Plus,
I thought there's a good chance something like that could happen here.
A remarkable story of outreach in the least likely of places.
Saving souls and saving lives.
Saving souls and saving lives, yes.
We are on Facebook Live right now with experts talking about opioid addiction and recovery. You can go there now. Ask them anything you'd like. You can do that while you're watching us. It's on our WISN 12 News Facebook page. Now, Joyce Garbasiak joins me. And Joyce, this epidemic is changing the status quo from how hospitals are treating patients to how pharmacies are actually delivering drugs.
And Kathy, it's even changing things at some Milwaukee area churches.
Good to see you, bro.
3 nights a week.
Good to see you, man.
You'll find Roosevelt Means here, keeping watch over the meal program at All Saints Catholic Church.
Calmness, peaceful interacting with each other. That's what I'm looking for.
He's also keeping an eye out for something he hopes he never sees.
Did you ever think you'd need to learn how to do this?
No, I did not.
He's watching for someone unresponsive, having trouble breathing, someone who may be overdosing on opioids.
Means recently went through training to learn how to use Narcan, a drug that reverses the effects of an opioid overdose, just in case one of the guests here ever needs it.
Opioids like oxycodone, methadone, or heroin slow down a person's breathing. If they take too much, their breathing may stop and they could die. Narcan blocks the brain from absorbing the opioids, essentially allowing the person to breathe normally again.
We simply want to be prepared.
Rosemary Murphy leads the outreach team at All Saints.
We haven't had any type of an overdose in the dining room or anything like that. But just like you would expect that we would take the CPR training, we want to be trained just in case something would happen.
The appropriate use of Narcan nasal spray can help you save a life.
This is the video they watched at their training, learning what to look out for.
Breathing is slow, uneven, or has stopped.
How to position the person.
Lay the person on their back.
And how to administer the spray.
Gently insert the tip of the nozzle into one nostril.
They even suggested in the training, if there's any doubt, if you're not sure, do it anyway because you can't do any harm.
Doing no harm is what motivates the pastor of Redeemer Lutheran, too.
Given how amazingly high the statistics are of these overdoses happening, I thought there's a good chance something like that could happen here, and we'd like to be ready for it.
Pastor Lisa Bates-Froyland went through the training, and she knows her peers outside of Milwaukee have, too.
And I have some colleagues who are serving in even rural environments who have also been trained in Narcan use. So it's a problem that's everywhere. It crosses all boundaries. It's a health crisis.
What's happening at this table?
Back at All Saints.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The camera loves you. This is a beautiful family.
Roosevelt Means sees the training as another way to help the people who've come to mean so much to him.
Everybody knows me at the church, making me feel that I do belong.
He believes knowing how to help when a life is on the line is an extension of what the church is called to do.
So saving souls and saving lives.
Saving souls and saving lives, yes.
Saving souls and saving lives. Now, how did the churches learn about the program?
The Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office offered it last month to various church, civic, and school leaders. And now both churches that I told you about in that story are trying to find ways now to finance the purchase of Narcan, which retails for about $135 for a 2-dose pack. Charities that buy it in bulk can get it for a lot less.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Joyce. Now, a reminder, the hour is winding down. We are on Facebook Live with experts taking questions, talking about opioid addiction and recovery, and any question can be answered. Ask them anything you would like. Our Adrian Pedersen is moderating the discussion. Just go to our WISN 12 News Facebook page. In the North Shore community, heroin and opioid overdose numbers are staggering. One group decided it was time to take action. Ben Wagner shows us a new guide to get families the help they need.
As a mother of 2,
they gave us 3 doses.
Becky is doing something for her son.
And 3 syringes.
She never thought she'd have to do.
Hopefully, I never have to use it. However, I'm glad that I have it if I do.
It's naloxone, a life-saving drug for someone overdosing on opioids. She has it at her Shorewood home, knowing it could save her son Taylor's life.
If you would have asked me how I thought he was going to turn out, this is not the path I would have thought he would have taken.
He started smoking pot at 15. By the time he was 17, Taylor switched to prescription pain pills.
He actually, to obtain drugs, had to come up with ways to get money. And part of that was taking some stuff from us, and we had finally had enough, and we had to have him arrested, and that was it for him. He said, okay, I can't do this anymore.
We're not using their last name or Taylor's picture as he's in recovery, and his mom doesn't want to undo his path toward progress. She also thought it couldn't happen in her neighborhood.
It's really bad right now. And
Jan Zarin knows that it does.
A number of these deaths were former students of mine. And
she's a teacher at Shorewood Intermediate School.
Losing one is too many, but losing several is heart-wrenching.
In the 7 North Shore communities, the numbers are alarming. In the last 10 years alone, the number of overdoses involving prescription opioids is up 52%. The number of ODs involving heroin up 300%.
We have to get our heads out of the sand, and we need to be open and honest that there is a problem and that we need to do something about it.
That passion fueled this.
This is our prescription pain medicine and heroin information and resource guide.
It's a drug resource guide geared specifically to the North Shore, a community where fatal drug overdoses are up 30% over the last decade.
And this is something that really didn't exist before you put this together.
Correct. It existed for the Washington County, Ozaukee areas, but nothing for Milwaukee County or the North Shore area, the northern part of Milwaukee County.
Ann Christensen with the North Shore Health Department says it's time for action. The resource guide lists addiction symptoms, what to do during an overdose. It also shows how bad the heroin and opioid problem affects the community.
Do you think we are paying enough attention to this problem?
Certainly not, in the sense that we continue to see overdose deaths that are related to prescription pain medicines and heroin. So by the very fact that we continue to have these fatal overdoses means that we're not doing enough to address the issue.
The guide lists phone numbers to call for help. It also dedicates an entire page to naloxone, that drug Becky never thought she'd own.
I mean, I look at these and I'm like, yep, we did that one, and yep, we did that one, and yep, we did that one. This is awesome because I didn't have this.
Her son Taylor has now been clean for a year.
It was a very long road, and it's going to be a long road forever because we have to fight this until the day he dies.
And the fight is real. We first interviewed Becky a few weeks ago. She told me just today her son Taylor sadly had recently relapsed. He's off of drugs right now and getting help and support in Arizona. She still hopes the guide will speak to other parents before it's too late. We have a link to the North Shore Resource Guide on our website. It's also easy to find on the WISN app. Kathy?
Such a tough road, and tonight we go back to high school on a day that a very dire lesson is center stage. At the end of the school day, it's a tough audience with an even tougher subject, but one that could save lives.
Their day, their final hour is over. The question is, will the critical lesson shared at the end of this particular school day sink in for these freshmen and sophomores at Heartland Arrowhead? It's a lesson that had a squad car sitting outside their high school gym. For good reason.
What can this cop tell me about drugs that I don't already know?
The startling show and tell is entitled Deadly Decisions. 223 pairs of shoes fill risers at center court. They represent the 223 overdoses and deaths of young people in Waukesha County over the last few years. A 20-year veteran with the force, with 11 years in undercover narcotics under his belt, had a very personal message for his young audience.
My brother's a recovering heroin addict. When I say recovering, he's sitting in the jail right now, my jail. And I thank God he's there because he's not dead. Pretty heavy to think about, huh? Take a minute to look at your shoes, because when I come to the house and find you, you're wearing the shoes, but you're dead, or your friend's dead.
That point is reinforced by an ER doc at Economowoc Memorial.
This is a body bag. Took it from the hospital. When you come in and you're dead, it's what we zip you up in and take you down to the morgue.
Dr. Westlake stresses a fatal formula. POP equals H. Prescription opioid pills equal heroin. There is no difference.
Pain will not kill you, but painkillers will.
He has witnessed the final hour of so many people, time and time again.
1/2 of one pill, one time, dead. Add her shoes to the risers.
When a mom takes the podium, she carries her daughter's last pair of shoes.
On September 22nd, 2012, my 17-year-old daughter, Alexis, made the decision to try heroin and overdosed.
Her daughter had hidden her habit. Her final hour was at the hospital.
My beautiful little girl, hooked up to all these machines, tubes running in and out of her lifeless body. I knew then that I'd never be able to look into her eyes again, hear her goofy laugh, and I knew I'd never hear her say, "I love you, Mom," ever again.
She tells me this is a heartbreaking story to share, but it could save lives, save other parents from her pain.
She did not wake up. And that's a picture of the last hug that I ever gave my daughter.
Most of you guys know who I am, right?
The final speaker is determined to drive the point home.
4 out of 10 teenagers who experiment with drugs and alcohol are going to fall down this pattern of destruction or death or chaos. And notice I said experiment. I didn't say 4 out of 10 teens that use every day or use every weekend are going to do this. No, that's not what it's saying. It's saying if you try it, here's your chances that you're going to fall into it.
Fall into it, he says. Become yet another of the pairs of shoes showing young lives lost.
You've seen me before at different presentations or walking around the hallways here. Quiet down.
On staff now, Tyler's passion is personal. He was actually kicked out of this high school during his 11-year spiral into drug addiction.
At your worst, what were you doing?
At my worst, when I was using, I was almost a gram a day of heroin. Stealing everything I possibly could from anybody I could and just not caring about anything in the world.
Did you almost die?
Oh, absolutely, multiple times. I almost took my own life because I couldn't take the pressure anymore.
He's turned his addiction into a campaign to prevent deadly decisions and sets out to make this message heard, to illustrate the point from bleacher to bleacher.
If there's an X on your sheet of paper, stand up.
Perhaps it's the final hour.
Come on, stand up.
Or reaction to the scary reality of the truly final hours portrayed by the shoes. Tyler was not about to let their volume drown out his message.
Quiet down! Do you not get the point? All of you that are standing up, which isn't all of the people that should be standing up, all of you that are standing up are part of this 4 of 10. Guess what? You're not going to make it to next year.
Forever grateful, his shoes are not on display. Tyler makes his final point.
Wake up. Get the memo. The scariest part about this is that it brings you in, it seduces you with fun, and then it kills you.
What a message. And it has to be told again and again and again. The continuing dialogue is absolutely important. From the school assembly to the kitchen table. One does not knock out the other. You have to do it over and over again. And hopefully, at some point, the message just simply sinks in. That's what we're doing here with our Facebook Live as well with Adrian Pedersen and our doctors tonight.
We're getting a lot of comments, a lot of questions, and one thing I do want to bring up specifically here, people keep asking this, and we have a great person to answer this. You specialize in pain management, so people are saying, why don't you go to the source? Why don't doctors stop prescribing these opioids? Obviously, that's the problem. How do you respond to that?
You know, it's taken 20 years for this to establish itself as strongly as it has, and doctors have been told the same thing over and over and over for a long time, that narcotics work great for pain, that they are the best treatment for pain, and that if patients are suffering, they should be getting narcotics. We are doing everything we can to help change those attitudes, and doctors are coming around. They realize that there's a problem, and they want to get this addressed. It just takes time for this to change, but we're seeing remarkable movement in the last year or two. Lots and lots of doctors are changing their minds about this and changing their attitudes.
And laws are changing.
Well, the laws are changing. We have opioid guidelines and that the Medical Examining Board has put together. I helped author those, and Tim played a big role in getting those going. And now every doctor in the state who can prescribe opioids must take a 2-hour course on those guidelines. So we are very encouraged that within the next year or two, we're going to see huge changes in how doctors approach this problem.
And Dr. Westlake, I want to talk to you about this. People are asking more about carfentanil. We discussed earlier here on Facebook Live, there's kind of a confusion in terms of how people get it. This isn't the situation where you go in to get prescribed something for pain and you get carfentanil.
No, carfentanil is used as a killer whale tranquilizer and an elephant tranquilizer, so it's very limited uses. There's only 19 grams that were used in the U.S. in the previous 2 years, so it's not being prescribed for patients. What's happening is it's being manufactured in clandestine labs in China and abroad, and then brought over here and sold as heroin.
And right now there's kind of an argument going on our Facebook page about whether this is a disease or a choice. People keep commenting, asking. Amber's asking about this, Mary's asking about this, people arguing. You said it starts with a choice.
It starts with a choice, but then I think there's a point where people that are susceptible to it as a disease develop the disease. It's just like diabetes. If you eat right, if you exercise, if you take care of yourself, you have a lot less chance of developing that. But if you don't, then you can develop it.
Do you agree?
I think in some people that's true. I think an awful lot of people, though, went into their doctor with a twisted ankle or a broken bone or for surgery and just were very sensitive to the medicines that we use to try to treat their pain, and it set this off. So I'm not even sure that in everybody it's even a choice. I think once this happens, it trains the brain to crave the medicine, and that craving becomes stronger and stronger and takes over the person. And so in people who are really sensitive to this, in too many cases, it's not even a choice at all.
And if you look at, if you look at how you define a disease, it meets all the criteria for a disease as far as the medical definition of what a disease is.
All right.
So it really is a disease.
Got to tackle it one way or the other. And you guys are so dedicated, you're going to stick around for a little bit longer, so you can go to our Facebook live discussion. Go to WISN 12 Facebook page. Now, we're not done with this. We're going to continue answering questions about opioids and addiction tomorrow. 12 News is hosting a phone bank with a state of addiction helpline. That's from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Experts and doctors will be standing by then as well. We will have that phone number for you tomorrow. And if you need immediate help for opioid addiction or resources, call 211. A trained specialist can talk to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is just a start. We also have a wealth of information, a resource page on our website, WISN.com. On your desktop or your phone, just click the State of Addiction tab to find stories that we've aired on the news. And to find help, click on the resources section and scroll down to even find more resources near you. Thanks for watching us tonight. It's only the beginning of a conversation. And big thanks to our doctors. You have done a wonderful job. We're going to keep you here longer. That's why we really rely on you. You can connect with us anytime on Facebook, Twitter, and all our WISN 12 mobile apps. Good night.